Hi, it's Lizzie of Lizzie King Yoga, and welcome to your next yoga class. Today is all about winding down and stretching out the legs after a long run. Or maybe it was a bike ride, maybe it was leg day. Regardless, if your legs are warmed up and you're ready for a deep stretch, let's get started. If you're not super warm and you just clicked on this video because it was all about the legs and you want to give your legs some attention, I would take a quick pause and run through 5 to 10 sun salutations or something of the like, because we're going to hold these postures for a little bit of time and we're really going to get deep into stretching them out. And I don't want you to rip anything that's not warmed up. So take the time to warm up. If you are already warmed up, unroll your yoga mat. Let's meet back here. All right, so considering that we are nice and warmed up, we are going to jump right in by standing at the back of our mat. All 10 toes face forward, feet are hip distance apart, belly pulls into the spine, shoulders roll back and down. Find that power stance and take a few breaths here. Maybe you're catching your breath. Maybe you're just coming into this moment to kind of seal in that workout, that effort. And then using your breath, inhale up, reach the arms up, reach the middle finger and the thumb of the right hand around the wrist of the left, or whatever fingers feel good. Take an inhale to find length, and then take an exhale to send the hips to the left, reaching the hands up and over to the right, finding a half moon stretch here. Really push that left hip to that side wall, creating space, opening up through the entire side body. And then come back through center as you exhale. Both hands reach up towards the ceiling, and then just alternate reaching each hand up towards the ceiling, really finding length. Feel that pull from the hips to the fingertips. And then find stillness. We'll reverse our grip here. So we're going to take that left hand and wrap those fingers of choice around the right wrist. Inhale for length, and then exhale to dip it over to the left. Right hip pushes to the side wall. Find length through the entire right side of the ribs and side body here. So as much as you need to find that tilt and push that hip to find that stretch. And then use your exhale, come back through center, inhale, reach, 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 and then exhale, forward fold, let it go. Take a few breaths here. Really shift the weight forward into the balls of the feet. Let the crown fall heavy. Hands can come down to the earth to support you here. Let the hips come up over the ankles. Really surrender into this. Really let the upper body fall heavy. Shifting the gaze between the legs will help you take the stretch a little bit deeper. And then releasing the hands down. If they're not already there, start to walk the hands out. Really reaching the heels down towards the earth as you move through your down dog, and then shift forward, find your high plank. Shoulders over the elbows, over the wrists. Energetically pull the toes towards the wrists pull towards the toes. And then exhale, send it back. Heels reach down towards the earth, downward facing dog. Gaze goes up towards the thighs. Really push into the thumb and the pads of the fingers here to send the hips up and back, shifting the gaze even deeper towards the belly, allowing those heels to reach down towards the earth. And then start to walk the hands back to meet the feet, keeping the weight shifted forward in the balls of the feet, finding that Uttanasana forward fold. Bend into the left knee so much that you take most of the weight into the left foot, so you can lift the right foot and step it out about a foot in front of the left. Then start to straighten through the left knee and then roll up onto the right heel. From here, you can start to bend into the left knee and sit the booty back a little bit more to find a deeper stretch. Flex the right toes up towards the face. You can even take the hand and wrap it around the right toes and pull them towards the knee or the hip to deepen that stretch through the calf. Roll the right foot down as you exhale, step it back. Bend into the right knee, support that weight into the right foot, and then step the left foot out. From there, you'll start to roll up onto the left heel, flexing the left toes, and then you'll bend into the right knee to set the booty back and find a deeper stretch. Keep the shoulders pulling down, relaxing away from the ears. Keep the shoulder blades pulling together, and really start to pull the heart towards the toes as you flex the toes up towards the hip and the heart. And then use your exhale to roll it down. Plug into the mat with the hands. Start to walk the hands out and find your downward facing dog. Use your inhale to lift the right leg high. Flex the toes down towards the mat. Feel your left leg turn on and stretch out through the entire backside of that left leg. And then bend second open, drawing the heel towards the glute, lifting the knee up towards the ceiling. And then use your inhale to gaze up towards the hand, straighten through the right leg, and then step it between the hands as you exhale. Left knee comes down, left toes untuck. Considering we're nice and warm, we'll take a moment to heel toe the right foot out in front of us. And then sink into that right foot by bending into the right knee, allowing that left thigh and hip flexor to open up towards the ground beneath it. And as we shift forward and sink forward, our pelvis is going to kind of just relax down, but we want to keep our belly firm and active here. Breathe space into the hip flexor. You can inhale the arms up to frame the ears here, but since we're focusing on opening up the legs, that's not super important. Take one more deep inhale here. Exhale to bring both hands down. Tuck the back toes, lift the back knee. This time we're going to find ourselves in a runner's lunge. Right knee towards the right armpit. Really roll forward onto those left toes. Find a stretch in the back side of that left foot. And then both hands come to the inside of the right foot as you yogi walk to the side wall into a wide-legged forward fold. Again, we're shifting the weight forward into the balls of our feet. Hands can relax down to the mat. You can grab for the ankles. You can reach your peace fingers around the big toe. If you have it where you're super flexy and you're super open, you can bring your forearms or the crown of your head down to the mat. Begin to walk the hands underneath the shoulders. Inhale to lift halfway. And as you exhale, bend into the right knee, finding Skandasana into the right side. So our left leg comes out long to the side. Our toes flex up towards the ceiling and our face. We bend into the right knee and we sit the glutes down onto the right heel, lifting the right heel up towards the glutes. From here, we can take it deeper by bringing both hands to the inside of the right thigh and then walking them out in front of us. Really opening up through that left inner thigh. Use your breath as an anchor here as you start to settle into these postures. These postures are probably going to bring some discomfort, and that's okay because on the other side of that discomfort is your growth, and it's your lengthening and your ability to let go physically of this tension. So resist the urge to retreat from certain postures and start to settle in using those deep, long inhales and exhales to guide you. Walk the hands back into the body, push the hips back up into that wide leg forward fold, and then yogi walk back to the runner's lunge to the top of your mat. Left knee finds the earth again, left toes untuck, rise up to that Anjaneyasana. This time start to roll forward so you can come up to the top of the left knee, and then bend into the knee, reach around with the right hand and find a bind. So you can wrap around the toes, the instep of the foot, the ankle, whatever feels good to you. Alternatively, you can use the left hand here and use both hands, or you can just release the right hand and use the left hand if that feels good. Whatever feels good to you. Nice and slow with control. Start to relax that foot back down to the mat. Tuck the toes, lift the knees, step back, find that downward facing dog. Take a few breaths here, swinging the hips side to side, pedaling out the feet, whatever feels good to you. Take a deep inhale, gaze up towards the thighs, and on that exhale, can you reach the heels down to the earth? Inhale, left leg lifts. Bend, stack, and open. Lift the knee up towards the ceiling. Push evenly into the hands as the weight gets dispersed. And then exhale to step it forward. Right knee comes down, right toes untuck, Anjaneyasana. So we're going to heel toe that left foot out forward. Then we're going to sink our pelvis forward, opening up through the hip flexor, opening up through this entire front side of this leg. Keep the belly pulling into the spine here, even as we sink forward. Take a deep inhale. Use that exhale to bring both hands down. This time, tuck the right toes, lift the right knee, find that runner's lunge. Really propel forward, lifting that right heel up and over the toes, stretching out through the bottom of that foot. Then we'll bring both hands to the inside of the left foot and yogi walk into that wide leg forward fold. Weight shifts forward into the balls of our feet as you surrender the torso and the crown down to the mat. Hands come underneath the shoulders. Inhale, lift halfway. Skandasana into the left. Bend into the left knee. Again, right leg stays out long from the side. Toes come up towards the ceiling and then flex towards the face. If you want to find a deeper stretch in the bottom of that foot like we've been doing, you can lift up onto the toes a little bit more. And then we'll begin to walk the hands out for a deeper stretch into the inner thigh. Start to walk the hands back into the body. Push into the mat, find that wide leg forward fold, and then yogi walk to your runner's lunge. Right knee comes down, right toes untuck. From here, we'll take that bind again, so you'll shift forward to roll to the top of the knee, and then you'll reach around with either your left hand or your right hand to find the bind. If you reach back with your opposite hand like we started with on the other side, you're going to get a deeper opening through the chest. But each side is a little bit different. If you can grab with the same sided hand, you can sometimes control how deep that stretches through the quad a little bit more. Nice and slow. Start to release the foot back down to the mat. Take your time. It's uncomfortable when those knees roll. Frame the front foot with the hands, lift the back knee, and then step back and find that downward facing dog. We're moving into pigeon pose. So as you shift forward, find your high plank, draw the right knee behind the right wrist and the right ankle behind the left wrist. Let's take a moment here to bring the left knee down, untuck the left toes. Rise up onto the legs first and feel your hips. So we want our hips to be square with one another. So if the right hip's pulling forward and the left hip's pulling back, adjust the legs and bring them into alignment with one another. Once you can feel that those are in alignment, and scooch around from there. Flex the right toes. Find that length of that left leg long behind you. And then you can fold over the leg. So it's not so important here that we have our right shin parallel to the short edge of the mat in front of us, as much as it's important that our hips are level. Keep the right toes flexed. That protects our ankles and our shin here. So it's more effective if we keep the toes flexed, and it keeps us a little bit safer. If you want to bring your forehead down to the mat, you are welcome to it. Maybe you can't go this low, so maybe you start to stack some blocks or something similar underneath the forearms as you fold. Again, we tap into that breath when we start to get uncomfortable. Hip openers such as pigeon pose, which is what we're in now, are really deep and intense. So sometimes it surfaces weird emotions. So start to use your breath to just let those emotions float out of the mind as soon as they come to mind. Start to lift the head if it's down. Bring the hands underneath the shoulders. Push the torso up. Tuck the back toes. Lift the back knee. And this time push into the hand so you can start to lift the right foot and then step it to the outside of the right hand. So you have the option to stay here in this lizard, or you can lower down the knees and untuck the toes. So again, we can stay on our hands, or you can come down onto the forearms, or you can bring the forearms onto a block or something similar. Toes can turn out about 45 degrees on the right foot. Left leg is long behind you. And we use our breath here. So we start to release that tension. Start to walk the hands back underneath the shoulders. Nice and slow, tuck the back toes, lift the back knee. Heel toe the right foot in between the hands, the center of your mat. And then step the left foot in about a foot or so. Bring the feet hip distance apart. Start to straighten through the right leg, keeping a micro bend. Take a moment here to inhale to lift halfway. Find a nice long spine here. And then exhale to maintain that long spine as you fold over the right leg for pyramid pose. Just like in our pigeon, we want to reach up and feel our hips to make sure our hips are level with one another. We want to keep a micro bend in the right knee no matter what, no matter how flexy we are, because we want to keep things protected here. We don't want to lose control of the opening and the stretching. And then bringing the hands down to frame the foot. If they're not already there, bend into the right knee and then step it back to meet the left in downward facing dog. Take a few breaths here, pedaling out the feet or anything that feels good to you. Gazing up towards the thighs. And then pigeon on the other side. So we'll shift forward and bring that left knee behind the left wrist and the left ankle behind the right wrist. Right toes on tuck, right knee comes down to the mat. Right leg is long behind you. You can literally look back and check the scene. And then reach up, feel the hips. Once they are level and square with one another, you can scoot around if they're not and find your way. Left toes stay flexed as you inhale to open up your heart and then exhale to fold. There's a chance that both sides are going to feel different. Maybe one leg is tighter than the other. And that's okay. That could be just simply the way we stand when we're in line at the grocery store. If you ever take notice of how you stand when you're just waiting for something or just standing and not in motion, have you ever noticed that maybe you shift your weight into one foot and cock that hip out? Or maybe you keep your wallet in your back pocket when you're sitting. Next time you're in the grocery store line, Look down at your toes and see if they're level with one another. See if your feet are hip distance and facing out. Start to lift the torso. Start to bring the hands underneath the shoulders. Tuck the back toes, lift the back knee, and then slide that left foot to the outside of the left hand. Right knee comes back down, right toes untucked. Lizard on the other side. Left toes turn out about 45 degrees if that feels good. Otherwise, they can face forward, but you're going to get a little deeper into that hip if you let them turn out. Use your breath here. And then if you were down on your forearm, start to make your way back up onto your hands and heel toe that left foot to the inside of the hands. Right toes will tuck, right knee will lift. Step that foot in and out so the feet are hip distance. For pyramid on the other side, take a moment to inhale to find length through the spine and then exhale to fold. So again, micro bend into that left knee. Keep those shoulders relaxing away from the ears. Keep the shoulder blades pulling together to keep the heart opening up towards the toes here. Take one last deep inhale. Stay for the exhale. And then start to bend into the left knee. Step the right foot up to meet the left in a forward fold. Reach the hands behind the ankles and start to draw the crown down towards the earth below you. Bend into the knees ever so slightly or as much as you need here. Let the elbows splay out as you draw the crown down towards the earth as you start to shift your gaze between the legs behind you. And then relax the hands, bring them down to the earth. Start to bend into the knees so that way you can reach behind and find your sits bones down to the mat. Legs come straight out in front of you, toes flex up to the face. Take an inhale, reach the arms up, find length through your spine. Exhale to hinge and fold. Maintain that nice long spine here. So oftentimes I think we just kind of slump over the legs and we think, oh, I'm getting deeper into this. But really, as we start to open up our heart and keep our chest expanding and keep our spine long, we literally open up from behind our ankle up through the entire leg rather than just finding that stretch in the low back here. So we're going to get more out of what we need here to wind down from this run or this leg use by keeping the spine long, keeping the shoulders pulling together behind you, and keeping your heart opening up towards the toes. Inhale, roll back up. Soles of the feet find one another. Knees splay out for cobbler's pose, Baddha Konasana. You can wrap your hands around the toes. You can bring your thumbs to the insteps like you're opening up a book and bring the elbows to the insides of the thighs. Whatever feels good to you here. Start to pull the heart forward, find length through the spine, and then fold as far as you can over the legs. Again, keeping that spine long here. And if this is as far as you go, That's okay. This is not a competition to get so low to the ground. We're honoring our bodies and we're opening up our bodies as best as we can here. Inhale to rise up. Use your exhale to lower all the way down onto your back. You can use your core here to find control. Bring both knees into the chest on your inhale. And then exhale to let them fall to the right. Allow the left shoulder to open up. Allow that left arm to expand. And you can do the same with the right, or you can keep the right hand on top of the thighs. And gently, gently, gently start to push those knees down towards the earth. Plug the hands into the earth below you. Engage the core and then roll the legs up and then over to the other side. Shifting your gaze over to the right to take it a little bit deeper if that feels okay. And then start to roll the knees back into the chest. Flex the toes to the face. Wrap around the shins and just take a moment rocking side to side. And then we'll begin to rock forward and back, eventually coming up into a seated posture. Thank you so much for allowing me to guide you in your practice today and for stretching it out after a long run, which are one of my favorite things to do. If you want to take a proper Shavasana, you are welcome to stay here and lay out on your mat. Otherwise, if you don't mind, please take a moment to like, comment, or subscribe so I know that what I'm putting out for you is working for you. Thank you for joining me. Enjoy the rest of your day. The light in me honors, loves, and appreciates the light in you. Namaste.